Wanted to go around the Trey Lance trade. Pictures of Trey and number 15 dancing across Cowboys Twitter today. It is a fun storyline. I'm not going to lie. I like the opportunity of getting a guy with upside. I like the drama, though, that it appears the Cowboys are bringing in Trey Lance in hopes that they would have a better version of quarterback with a bigger upside and less of a contractual headache than what Dak Prescott has been. I feel like a lot of it's a leverage move, but at the same time, what do they want out of it is for Trey Lance to come in here, put in a great year of work, and step into preseason next year and give them confidence that they can move on from Dak if they want to. Cooper Rush obviously doesn't give them that confidence. At 877-881-1053, let's talk about this, the Trey Lance situation. The big conversation that went viral this morning with Sean and Bobby actually having it out was, should they have told Dak? And I don't think they should have. I think a franchise quarterback deserves a significant portion of say in things, but an organization owes it to themselves to be trying to find the best position, the best player at every position, and youth is the name of the game. I don't think it's that big of a storyline, but I'll tell you what, here's what to me they missed in that debate was that this is the Cowboys' response to Dak and his agent playing hardball. Steven has made it clear they want the players to look at their arrangement with the Cowboys as more of a partnership. You're going to get a lot of benefits beyond this contract. We're paying you competitive wages compared to your other peers around the league, and you're getting to be associated with this brand. And right or wrong, that's how they feel about it. If you don't want to play their game, they resented a lot, not just a little bit. So this is a giant FU to Dak and his agent. Yes, we're bringing in a young quarterback. You don't want to be a partner of ours. You want to extract maximum value and play hardball. So here we go. We are playing hardball. And we're looking for players, especially because of how well we draft, and they're right about that. We're looking for players to give us a little bit of a break. You get a huge windfall being a Cowboys player. Can we get a little bit of help here? Because we've drafted so well. We have so many great players. We can't keep them all. And it turns out, as well as you draft, it still won't let you win the Super Bowl. We have to find our edge somewhere. We're drafting great. We're not going to pull out the credit card and borrow from future years a bunch to try to win like that. So this is our way to win. And if you want to be with us, then we'd love it. But he and his agent are insisting on playing such hardball. So now we find ourselves in this situation where you have a young player who's going to spend the next year. Do you think that could be a distraction? Could it turn into a bad thing? I don't, because both Dak and Trey Lance are awesome people. They're awesome coworkers, good competitors, great teammates. But I don't think you can just sweep this under the rug as saying they've brought in Trey Lance to be your third quarterback. It's not a story. It absolutely is a story, and it actually tells you how contentious the contract negotiation is behind the scenes. Steven told you in February, you're going to wake up one day, this deal's going to be over. No, it's not. This thing's going down to a serious deadline. And you don't spend a 4 to bring in a quarterback, unless you think there's a legitimate possibility that is your future. It's the reaction to this isn't totally unlike when the Eagles brought in Jalen Hurts. Dak's better than Carson Wentz, but Carson Wentz's reputation at that time was top 12 quarterback, probably a franchise quarterback that they're going to have for a long time. And people were surprised you're bringing in Jalen Hurts. The Eagles say, we want to give ourselves the best possible chance at having an elite franchise quarterback. I think Cowboys have, maybe not giving themselves a chance to have better, but sufficient replacement with Trey Lance has to be their plan. What do you guys think about that at 877-881-1053? Wolchuk, Broadus, Chief, where you want to go with it?
They were doing their due diligence in the draft with Hendon Hooker.
Sorry, my bad.
And with Aiden O'Connell.
Those
were guys they liked.
Yeah.
This isn't new. The Cowboys were looking at adding a young quarterback. Trey Lance became available. They had him graded as a high second-round draft pick. They made the move to go get him. This is good roster building. It's good team building. If they had taken a guy in the 4th round like Aiden O'Connell, I don't know if we'd be having this conversation, but because it's Trey Lance and he was the 3rd overall pick and there's high first-round expectations, it's a big deal.
Unlike O'Connell, he can run a little bit.
Right.
I mean, he throws a better ball than
he's
Dak.
He's a household name. People know who Trey Lance is.
Anybody would know who Trey Lance is.
Everybody knows
right
who
in front
he
of
is.
him.
Well, any quarterback you add, whether it was draft or trade, is going to raise questions. Any quarterback. To me, you draft Aiden O'Connell in the 4th round, it would have been, well, why'd you do that? It's a wasted pick. So that's I think that's where people are now. Fans don't have time for your team building. To the teams, it's the most important thing they do every day. But to a fan base, no, you just wasted a 4th round pick on a guy that's not going to play.
No.
That's what fan bases think.
You're adding an asset, and that's exactly what Stephen Jones said. And I hear you, but that's what fans need to understand. There's nothing more important than having a quarterback. It's the most important position in all of sports, right? So if you have a surplus, you can flip that guy and try and get more for him. Now,
injuries
it didn't work for
too.
San Francisco, and injury, and we've seen Dak get hurt a lot recently.
We have.
Does this tell you they don't believe in Dak that much?
I think,
or as much as they say they do.
I think the money's starting to worry them a little bit. Yeah, and that's just me talking. That's not me talking to Stephen Jones or any of the cap guys over there or anything. I think there's going to be a point in time where that money, even though the cap's going up, there's going to be a point in time where they go, is it really worth paying $56-7 million for a player that's this? Mm-hmm. They're looking at. And the one thing the Cowboys are really good at, as we've always talked about, is drafting. Yeah. So what happens when you always draft? Well, you have other players. Mm-hmm. Parsons, Lamb, Diggs. I mean, these are players that when other teams would love to, you got these guys you have to look at, and you got Lamb and Diggs on the same back-to-back, same draft.
They've been on fire for 3 years.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So
they had one draft where they had 6 players that are.
I think they're scared of tying up so much money in one player.
Yeah, that's where I'm at with it. And, watching Trey Lance, there's no way he is going to be capable this year. I mean, even his highlights, he's staring guys down. There's happy feet going on. You can see the challenges there, but the physical traits are undeniable. Like he checks all of those boxes. And now you have to look at it like, if he can stay healthy and be mobile, where is his bar for we'd rather have him playing than Dak? If you're running it maybe 6 to 10 times a game, go ahead, Brian.
Well, maybe in 2025.
Yeah.
That's where you look at it, because, then now you're looking at a cap number of $36 million for Dak. If you want to just play this thing out, if you just want to, go next year and the year after, and then.
Well, that means next year you're going to eat.
That's what I'm saying.
Dak's going to cost you $60 million.
That's That's where you're to get out of this deal. You're probably going to have to ride one of these things.
You might push a little bit more of it up into the future.
Yeah, But I'm saying though, to me, I mean, if I just looked at cap numbers, I was trying to think the cap number next year is 59.4 is what we're looking at right now. You cut him. Dead money you're looking at is 61.
So how good does Trey have to be next summer for you guys to be thinking this is going into Dak's last year in 2024? The Cowboys would love to see that materialize.
I don't think it's so much about Trey Lance. I think it's about a $61 million cap hit.
Well, you have to have some sort of faith that the player is there. That's why you've done this.
Well, no,
with the hope you can create enough.
But that's what I'm saying. You what's going to happen with Trey Lance this year is he's going to have extra practices.
Yeah.
And then he's going to have then you're probably going to move on from Cooper Rush, and then he becomes the backup guy. Heck, we've talked about it. Unfortunately, quarterbacks get dinged up. They get hurt. They miss games. You might know about, just like you learned about Tony Romo was a $25 million a year quarterback. And then all of a sudden, he gets hurt. And then you learn, well, wow, we can have Dak Prescott. Same thing could very well happen here. Mm-hmm. Same type of transition could happen. They could say, wow, Trey Lance is good enough to play here. He's kind of what we thought. He's a high second-round guy. He kind of gives us what we want. He moves around, throws the ball. He's got some Dak traits when it comes to moving around and throwing the ball.
He runs pretty similar. He runs like Dak, but 20 pounds lighter.
But he's a guy that
Dak in his prime.
No, this is a tough guy. I mean, he enjoys, like I said, I was watching North Dakota State back in the day. Guy likes to be the physical side of the game. He's not afraid to mix it up, run into people, stuff like that. Dak's the same way. I just think they're getting to a point in time with Dak that they're just, that whole thing with the money is turning into, we just don't want to go down this road anymore.
That would be interesting. I feel like if Trey Lance doesn't develop well, there's no way they're going to just let Dak go.
Well,
I think that's their second best option.
I just don't know what you're going to be able to see unless Dak gets hurt this year. If you see it this year,
it's got to be preseason next year. I think ideally he plays so well in the preseason next year. You give him a long-term deal, but he's not the starter. And then he takes over in 2025 as a starter that's not making huge money.
Yeah,
that's got to be how
he turns into a $20 million quarterback or $25 million quarterback.
Yeah,
instead of paying paying what you're going to pay Dak in 2025. You're looking at paying him $36 million, and then so if you were to let him go post June 1.
And that's to not even be on the roster. That's dead money, right?
That's dead money. $25 million for your cap savings of $11 million and dead money of $25.
Wow. Yeah. So it is a lot of money.
That's a lot less than what we've seen some of these other teams endure. Rams, what the Eagles endured a little bit with Carson Wentz. You know. So.
Yeah. But those are teams that were willing to maybe not be very good, and I don't know if the Cowboys would be willing to do that.
See, that's what I'm saying, though. That's
unless they think Trey Lance is good enough to keep them from not being very good.
Yeah, which is a big if, right? He's got to prove that because right now they're not putting him into a game over Cooper Rush.
No, there's a lot of growth that has to happen, I think, with the player. But the bar is lower if you can run and you're willing to run. And at Trey Lance right now, I'm willing to run a lot to build a career.
Yeah.
Once you've built the career and you can play well from the pocket because you've learned the offense, you want to run less. Right now, he wants to run more. And if you can run them into man coverage, you don't have to be a great quarterback to produce a lot of passing yards. I think this is a huge opportunity. I think Brian Schottenheimer has to be turning on the Russell Wilson tape, saying, look, give me a guy that can scramble and is accurate 50 yards down the field throwing lasers. I got an offense for this.
Well, this is the problem, though. Because if, here you make this deal, but what if the offensive staff, what if they get fired? Now you're back to square one.
Absolutely would be.
You're trying to, because now all of a sudden it's like the development that Trey Lance might have got, the work that he got during the year, working with the extra practices and stuff is. And
there's an injury concern as well. I'm always on the lookout for that. Apparently, he had the meniscus trim in high school and then foot injuries and ankle injuries.
He got rolled up on that. He was trying to run, trying to slide, did a poor job of it. And, he
just can't stay out there. Yeah. I think that's been the issue since he got to the NFL, and that makes me wonder, are you injury prone or is that just some bad luck? I'm not willing to put him in the injury prone department yet, but he's getting close.